Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into an absolutely fascinating demographic puzzle, and it is unfolding right now in real time. We're looking at the southern Indian state of Kerala. Now, you probably know Kerala is long celebrated for having incredibly high human development indicators. But right now, well, it's standing at a historic crossroads. It's transitioning from an era of really robust population growth to a phase of unprecedented decline. It's a massive shift that is literally reshaping the state's future, and as you might guess, it's generating a lot of intense debate. So think about this for a second. What actually happens when a society's deaths begin to outnumber its births? It's a scenario we usually associate with rapidly aging nations, places like Japan or Italy. But Kerala is actually answering this question for us right now, basically becoming a bellwether for the rest of India. Here's our quick roadmap for today's explainer. 1. A historic demographic shift. 2. The religious growth divide. 3. Decoding the political alarm. 4. The socioeconomic fertility drivers. And 5. Kerala's aging society challenge. Let's get into it. Section 1. A historic demographic shift. Okay, to really understand what's happening, we need to talk about a crucial concept called the natural growth rate, or NGR. Simply put, this is just the difference between births and deaths in a population, completely excluding migration. A positive NGR means the population is replacing itself. A negative NGR? That means more people are dying than being born. Now, check out this timeline, because it's wild. Historically, all of Kerala's major communities had positive natural growth rates, but that pattern has totally broken down. In 2021, the Christian community actually slipped into negative NGR territory. In 2022, the Hindu community followed suit. By 2023, the overall state of Kerala was basically hanging on by a thread, with an NGR of just 0.249%. And researchers are projecting that by 2041, the entire state's population growth is going to turn negative. That is a historic turning point. Section 2, the religious growth divide. So here's the catch. This decline isn't happening to everyone at the exact same time. Let's dig into the specific community data that's been generating, honestly, quite a few sensationalized headlines lately. Let's ground ourselves in the actual facts. Going back to the 2011 census, which gives us our official foundational demographics, Kerala's population was 54.7% Hindu, 26.6% Muslim, and 18.4% Christian. Keep those baseline proportions in the back of your mind as we move forward. But wait, look at what happens when we shift our focus to live births. Data from the Center for Policy Studies shows a really striking divergence. By 2019, the share of Muslims in total live births had actually overtaken that of Hindus. Muslims accounted for 44.4% of live births, despite being only about 27% of the total population. And Hindus, who make up a clear majority of the state, accounted for only 41% of those live births. And that brings us to the stark reality of the 2023 natural growth rate. Look at this. The Hindu NGR hit negative 0.115%, and the Christian NGR hit negative 0.084%. In those two communities, deaths are officially outpacing births. The only reason Kerala's overall state growth rate is staying in the green right now is because of the Muslim population, which sits at a positive 1.229%. Section 3, Decoding the Political Alarm. As you can probably imagine, stark statistical divergences like this rarely just sit quietly in a spreadsheet. This raw data has sparked some really intense political reactions, and we need to objectively decode them to understand the bigger conversation happening right now. When statistics show one religious community growing while the others are shrinking, the data often gets weaponized. Right-wing platforms, for instance, have reacted to these numbers with some highly charged rhetoric. Take this quote from the Struggle for Hindu Existence blog. It frames the demographic shift as a total crisis, saying alarm bells are ringing and claiming Hindus are under strangulation. Now, we're presenting this impartially, just to show you how raw demographic data can be interpreted and amplified through a highly political lens. But let's step back and contrast that political rhetoric with actual demographic science. Demographer Dr. Anil Chandran Sayan from the University of Kerala points out a vital piece of the puzzle that almost always gets ignored. He notes that the Muslim community is actually on the exact same declining trajectory. In fact, between 2014 and 2023, the Muslim natural growth rate plummeted by 35%. 35%! So while they are still in positive territory today, experts project they're going to hit negative figures shortly after the overall state does. Section 4, the socioeconomic fertility drivers.
So, if this isn't strictly a religious phenomenon, what is actually driving it? Let's unpack the why behind these numbers and shift our focus from religion over to socioeconomics.
There's this brilliant analysis published in the Population Research and Policy Review by Manoj Algarajan that perfectly captures this. The study found that, yes, there are indeed large Hindu-Muslim fertility differences at lower levels of education. But here's the kicker. That gap completely vanishes at higher levels of education. When couples achieve a higher standard of living and get better education, they essentially make the exact same family planning decisions, regardless of whether they're Hindu, Muslim, or Christian. So, what are the broader drivers pushing Kerala's total fertility rate down to 1.5? Remember, you need a rate of 2.1 just to replace the population. Well, it's a combination of things. High literacy, fantastic healthcare that lowers infant mortality, and rising living costs in cities. International population expert P. Arokiyasamy specifically points out that delayed marriages and a really strict adherence to a two-child norm have been the major catalysts here. That trend started first with the Christian community and basically spread like wildfire. Which brings us to the academic consensus, summarized beautifully in the research. The observed fertility gap is a passing phenomenon. The forces shaping how many kids people have, education, urbanization, economic goals, they are influencing all families across Kerala. It's really just a matter of timing, not a permanent fundamental divergence between communities. Section 5, Kerala's Aging Society Challenge. Okay, let's zoom out to the macro level now. Beyond the religious data, what does a society with shrinking births and longer life expectancy actually look like? Let's see how the state government is gearing up for this new reality. If you look at official state planning, like the governments of Kerala's Economic Review 2025, they aren't dwelling on religious demographic gaps. Their real focus is on the massive, imminent challenges of an aging population. The state is actively drafting policies to transition into what they are calling the silver economy. And to put that into perspective, the numbers behind this silver economy are frankly staggering. 8.4 million. By 2036, it's projected that Kerala will have 8.4 million elderly citizens. That means nearly 23% of the entire population will be over the age of 60. The state already has the highest proportion of elderly people in India, and the old age dependency ratio, which is the number of elderly folks relying on a shrinking pool of working age people, is just skyrocketing. The community's dipping into negative population growth first. So the Hindus and Christians, they are going to feel these profound economic and social hurdles first. But the whole state is right behind them. We're looking at a surging demand for geriatric healthcare, shrinking working age populations to actually support the elderly, and a massive increases in pension burdens. The government realizes they desperately need to develop and formalize a care economy just to handle this transition. Which leaves us with a final lingering thought to ponder. As Kerala approaches overall negative population growth by 2041, we really have to ask, is this a crisis or is it just a sneak peek into the future of India as a whole? Kerala has historically been a demographic bellwether for the rest of the country. So as fertility rates continue to drop nationwide, the way Kerala navigates its silver economy in these changing community dynamics is going to offer some absolutely crucial lessons for the decades ahead. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this structured look at the data helped decode this giant demographic puzzle for you.